Long before any visit or program began, there were already books moving quietly across borders. Our book publishing company, Lumen Education's work belongs to a larger continuum of educational support and literacy-focused initiatives, built upon years of contributions, collaborations, and shared belief in equitable learning access. From earlier donation efforts through Angels for the Journey to expanding networks of students, educators, and supporters, the guiding principle has remained constant. Education and knowledge should not be limited by geography or circumstance. Books arrive through human networks, through people who choose to circulate opportunity. A total of 583 English books, children's novels, and English learning materials were gathered and donated from the US and Korea. Once belonging to classrooms, libraries, and homes across the world, these books were gathered, carried across continents, passing through our youth, volunteers, team members, airports, and borders before reaching Cambodia. Their journey began long before they reached us, and it continues long after they leave our hands. Central to Lumen Education's mission is the understanding that sustainable educational impact requires collaboration beyond any single community. In Phnom Penh, we partnered with the National Library of Cambodia on February 6th, donating 205 of the gathered books to expand public accessibility and reading resources. Conversations with library officials revealed an enduring challenge. While educational materials exist, many young readers struggle to engage with them due to language barriers and limited availability of approachable children's literature. Accessible, engaging books remain essential for nurturing reading habits and confidence. Thus, we promise to return with more collected books to expand the National Library's children's section. Furthermore, in Siem Reap, we donated the rest of the 378 books that flooded the shelves of the libraries we created at sites for education for children and students. While the province is often seen through the lens of its ancient temples and vibrant tourism, the everyday realities of the ongoing Cambodia-Thailand tension also surface in quieter ways. In classrooms that struggle with limited materials and infrastructure due to decades of disruptive development. In vocational colleges, like the Provincial Teacher Training College and Siem Reap, working to strengthen teaching capacity amid resource constraints. These challenges are also very visible with broken down buildings and landmine warning signs that exclaim "Danger, mines" in bright red. These circumstances make educational progress almost impossible, underscoring why the basic access to books remains so urgently needed. Alongside these efforts, we initiated contact with various institutions already involved in making an impact at Cambodia, such as the Royal University of Phnom Penh, Professor Sung Hee Lee, exploring pathways for integrating culturally relevant storytelling in the books that Lumen Education will make and publish. These efforts and future exchanges are grounded in this recognition that educational equity must be built through both material access and intellectual partnership. Literacy is not merely a technical skill. It shapes how individuals interpret the world, construct meaning, and imagine possibility. Without access to reading materials that are engaging, comprehensible, and culturally resonant, learning becomes distant and discouraging. Conversely, when children encounter books that invite rather than intimidate, curiosity emerges naturally. Educational opportunity often begins with something tangible, a book that can be read and opened without fear. And the books we create and carry into Cambodia represent a convergence of global generosity and local purpose.
Donated English children's books traveled alongside newly printed copies of Amok and developing manuscripts, such as The Tale of Phnom Prose and Phnom Sarai, which were designed and written by Lumen Education's team, working alongside local students for the children's book design and translation from Khmer to English to Korean. These publications that we make seek to bridge language learning with cultural familiarity, ensuring that literacy development does not require children to detach from their own heritage. Our donations and created novels aim to reflect identity while expanding imagination. As mentioned before, bookshelves and reading areas were constructed to support continued access, aiming for repeated use, peer learning, and self-directed exploration. Because access without environment remains incomplete. The most revealing insights emerged through shared reading. Children gathered instinctively around the books, forming clusters animated by curiosity. Pages became meeting points for language, imagination, and collaboration. Zhonglei's attention fixed immediately on the two-page illustration, dominated by a towering gray figure. "Elephant," she said, her voice deliberate yet bright with recognition. David leaned forward, eyes widening as he traced the image. "Very big elephant," he added, prompting laughter. Across the page, Milai paused at a striped animal mid-motion. "Tiger," she declared confidently. So Jay shook her head, flipping to another page marked by patterned spots. "Leopard," she insisted, examining the detail with careful seriousness. Rika compared both images intently, moving between pages with analytical focus before nodding in agreement. Nearby, Poe and Sui studied a giraffe stretching impossibly upward. "Giraffe," Sui repeated softly, stretching the unfamiliar sound. Poe echoed the word moments later, quiet but assured. There were no visible traces of hesitation tied to failure, only engagement tied to discovery. Observing these interactions reinforced a persistent truth. Children possess curiosity independent of circumstances. What shapes learning trajectories is not inherent ability, but the availability of approachable resources and supportive environments. This recognition continues to guide Lumen Education's work in Cambodia, printing locally relevant books, encouraging Cambodian youth to engage in producing their own literature, expanding accessible reading materials, and strengthening literacy ecosystems remain long-term priorities rather than episodic interventions. Literacy drives through continuity. After all, Lumen Education's engagement does not end with departure. With an established office in Phnom Penh and dedicated local members continuing operations, book deliveries and educational initiatives remain active. Sustained presence allows efforts to move beyond symbolic gestures towards consistent contribution and collaboration, ensuring that access to stories and learning materials expand over time.